All right, now moving from sustainability to health. Now, Private Sector Health Alliance of Nigeria recently signed a memorandum of understanding with Budget. And when asked why, they say they need to bring in accountability and efficiency within the primary health care. We know the minister, the coordinating minister of the economy, minister of health, has been talking about the primary health care system, which is closest to the population, the need to improve that. Now, getting investment into that space would require that there's accountability and efficient use of funds. And that's what they say they want to do. That's talking about Private Sector Health Alliance of Nigeria. Have the head memberships and partnerships of that body here, Muiwa Olowo Koroku. And Mr. Olowo Koroku, good afternoon, and thank you for coming on the program.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, Budget is our friend, and we know they're very good with data, and you know, they just hit those transparency and corruption issues on the head. Exactly. So it makes me think, how much of a problem or challenge is the issue of corruption in the primary health care, especially when we're talking about attracting the private sector to participate there?
So thank you very much. That's a very sensitive and very critical question and issue to deal with. I would tackle the question from the angle of non-availability of accountability. Accountability is the lifeblood of any sector whatsoever. Regardless of the economy, sector of the economy that is. And with this particular reference to primary health care, we believe that there are frameworks already that the government has put in place, like the Basic Health Care Provision Fund, like the Drug Revolving Fund. All these initiatives require high level of transparency and accountability, because without this accountability, there's definitely not going to be efficiency and effectiveness. So we believe that the issue of corruption, you would see that the government will allocate certain funds to primary health care. But when you go out there, only about 20% of them are actually functional. And you ask yourself, what's going on? Where's the money going to? You want to attract private investments in that sector. People need to know what the funds are being used for. People need to know the impact that the funds is making. People need to know that drugs are getting to the right persons and the quality of care is improving. So if we don't tackle the issue of corruption or non-availability of accountability, let me put it that way, in the primary health care services, we will not be able to attract the right kind of investment that is required to boost our health sector in Nigeria. Also on the back of that is the fact that the overall service delivery in primary health care, which is the bedrock of healthcare services anywhere in the world, if we don't address this issue, millions of Nigerians, millions of Africans will still not be able to access quality healthcare. And investors will not want to come in and bring in funds because no one is accounting for every kobo that is being spent in that sector. So that's how sensitive and critical it is.
Yeah, but how does this work, though? So you are a private sector, Budget is private, primary health care mostly comes from the government. So getting information in Nigeria, I'm a journalist, I can tell you firsthand, getting information in Nigeria, it's a tough one. So how do you go about it? And even after you've gotten the information, what do you do with it to be effective?
Thank you very much. With the issue of getting information, one of the things we're partnering with Budget to ensure is I want to empower citizens to be able to report and give us feedback based on the experiences that they have at the primary health care services, centers where they seek services. We believe that with this data being available, it's easy for us to be able to tell the government to say, you know what, this is what is happening at these PHCs. These are the required intervention at this point in time. Because we're also trying to align with the National Primary Health Care Development Authority, which is at the forefront of governing the scope and services of these primary centers. We want to be able to tell them that these are the requisite needs in each of these communities or each of these private centers. And then Budget has a network of volunteers that we as private sector alliance want to also leverage to be able to get information directly from the source. We want to know that every kobo that our donors or our adopters, because we have a program called Adopt the Healthcare Facility Program in PISHN, which is poised to ensure that we revitalize at least 774 primary healthcare centers across the country.
That's in all the local government areas,
yes,
because we have 774.
At least one in each
every
of those.
local government.
There are over 30,000 of them. And what we want to do is we want to be able to show government that we are making impact, and we can scale this to ensure that we have well over thousands of primary health centers that will be functional and sustainable. So that's why we're partnering with Budget. They have a network of volunteers who are also helping with data collection and data analysis. This data we take, and we take to the government to say, well, this is what is happening, and these are the needs, these are the gaps, we need to fill it. That way, we can improve healthcare access and quality of care at these PHCs.
So what are the incentives for investors? Health, I mean, it's a very, especially when you're talking about for the primary health, because your target there are not the very, high-earning individuals in the country. So when you want to attract investment there, are they angel investors?
Interestingly, I would say that people think when people have primary health care or primary health centers, they think it's for the underserved or the people in the lower care. It's actually the first point of call for anyone who is seeking health. Many people just go straight to secondary and tertiary, not knowing that. I
guess that's our experience here in Nigeria.
Unfortunately, because some of these primary health care centers are not well equipped. Yes, and you don't have the required number of personnel manning them, or qualified personnel manning them, which is one of the problems that we have in the health sector in Nigeria. So that is actually what the problem is, right? Once we're able to address some of these challenges, I think we'll be able to solve the problem of investors. And what the investors want to see is that they want to see outcome, not see impact. Right? So when these impacts have been seen and they can actually justify every kobo being spent, then an investor will want to come in and say, this thing is viable. One of the things that we do at Pishan through our Adult to Healthcare Facility program is that we manage these facilities for like 5 years to show that it's sustainable and they can be self-sufficient and self-funding. So if this is done and we can show this to investors, anyone who wants to put his money there, knowing that it's going to get returns. Of course, it's not in the immediate.
But it does sound like you have a long way to go before you can actually truly get those real investors to come in there.
We have a long way to go, but we need to start somewhere. So when we start from where we have started right now, this will be phase one, and we're able to show the data. We can actually show the indicators that shows that, that Nigeria is a record holder for maternal and health mortality in Nigeria. We hold the world record. Unfortunately, we do. But I believe that if we we start showing results, I can tell you for free that some of the PSCs that we have revitalized in the course of the last 2 years, we've seen attendance grow for about 300%, especially for women from antenatal to actual delivery, because many of them go to local natural services. Some of them go to maternity centers by religious bodies, but now we've seen that growth. And if we can begin to show this data from time to time, investors start looking at that direction, and that's what we need to do.
All right. Now, so are you happy with the budget allocation? At least it's not yet a budget exactly, but I think for now we have just about 2.48 trillion.
2.48 trillion is, I would say, it's a significant growth from 1.2.
Yes, it is.
We had last year.
No, but don't forget that the value of the naira has also reduced. So you might be dealing with the same value of money, but just higher number. That is something to consider.
I agree with you, but it also shows the willingness of the part of government, given what the president said about trying to strengthen the primary health care, trying to ensure that Nigerians have access to insurance and the likes, and they also want to invest in infrastructure. I understand all those dynamics, and the reality is it's still a far cry from the Abuja Declaration of 2001, which is almost 24 years, and we are not there yet. We have countries like South Africa are doing like 12%, and but what we just want to see government do is to see how they can scale this up to like 10%. We know that other economic priorities are also demanding from the same budget, but we can always get there.
All right, thank you so much. We do hope we'll slowly but surely get there. As World Bank has said that our growth is slow, but it's steady. I guess we should do slow and steady.
And steady wins the race.
We could win the race. Thank you so much. Mr. Muiwa Lowokworoku, the head memberships and partnerships of Private Sector Health Alliance of Nigeria. Thank you.
My pleasure.